sentence, your next sentence has to be connected to this. It has to build off of that, right? So now we need a little bit more detail. Why do you like drinking hot chocolate during winter?
Because I because I put a lot of flavor.
Okay, I'll take that. How about we do this? That is when I play a lot. All right, give yourself a hand.
Give yourself a hand. Just made a little.
How do you think you did? Think you did okay? All right, why? So, what happened here? What do you think happened? What did you do?
We made three sentences.
So, 1, 2, 3, 4 sentences. Okay. And the sentences, what were the sentences about? Good job, hot chocolate. And all of this put together is called what? What is that called? We put sentences together. Starts with the letter P. Paragraph. Paragraph. How many sentences are in a paragraph? Okay, correction. 5. So if you want to, we can add one more. You want to add one more? All right, so the last sentence for your paragraph is called the concluding sentence. You have to wrap all of this up, right? So you started by talking about hot chocolate, you gave details, and now you got to wrap it up. So that means you got to bring us all the way back to what? Right here. Exactly. So you need the conclusion, they say, is not the hardest, but like the most interesting part, because you gotta say it in a really creative way, a way that leaves us excited. So what can you say about hot chocolate that'll just make us love it even more?
It's sweet. It's sweet.
Okay, I'll take that. Why'd you say that?
Because I have sugar.
You
You like sugar?
like sweet.
It's really sweet. All right, give yourself a hand.
Some new participants.
Oh yeah?
Fun.
Give yourself a hand.
Good job.
Give you a little story about hot chocolate and then.
Give yourself a hand. All right, so we're gonna do more of that. All right, come on up, please. All right, so once again, what is this called right here? Start to the letter P. Good job. How many sentences are in a paragraph? 5. Okay. How many topics? Now this question is a little bit harder. Please sit down. It's a little harder. But you got it. You ready? How many topics can we talk about in one paragraph? 5 sentences about how many topics? Exactly. What was our topic here? Exactly. Exactly. So you spend a whole paragraph, right? You give that first sentence, that topic sentence, about hot chocolate, and then each sentence after that gives us more detail. Okay? So, do you know your 5 W's and your H? Do you know the 5 W's and the H? Okay, let's help them out. You guys want to help them out?
Who, what, where, when, why, and then how.
Good job. Let's say it again, all together in unison. Who, what, when, where, why, how. Okay?
Right here.
Here's the answer. Here could be an answer. But these are questions, right?
Question.
Right? So usually, like, right, when I get stuck writing, I have to ask myself questions. You see? So I wrote the first sentence, I like to drink hot chocolate when it's cold. Which question could you ask yourself to keep going? Who wants to go around the room and help? What could you ask yourself next if you were stuck?
So that's a what, right?
What do you like to go with it?
Good job. What do you like to go with it? What's another question? You could have, where do you like to drink it? Who do you like to drink it with?
When do you
And how
like
do
to
you
drink?
like to make it?
Yeah,
How do you make it?
exactly. Exactly. I got an assignment for you, a take-home assignment. You ready? Okay. I want you later on this week to think about your favorite food and to write a paragraph about it. You don't have to show me. You have to show her. You think you can do that? You sure? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, my man. Let's give him a hand. Wipe this board. All right, so for those who just came in, my name's Baba Sam. I am less so a teacher, more of a facilitator. We're all each other's teachers. I'm just here to facilitate the writing process, that which is within you. We can go around the room real quick, and if you guys can just give me a name and say one thing about you that everybody should know, one cool thing about you. Who wants to start?
My name is Michael. Cool thing about me is that I like to, well, play video games. Let's use that one, play video games.
Okay, thank you, thank you.
Go ahead, Julie.
My name is Lillian. I like to spend time with
And my name is Madge, and I like teaching kids to code.
That's awesome.
My name is Hannah, and I like
Got music. Very eclectic. Okay, very good. All right, so today we're going to study the elements of storytelling. All right, so storytelling is when we're telling stories, right? Stories come directly from our heart. They come from our experiences. Okay, so you can look anywhere inside of you and around you to tell a story. Why would I want to tell a story? Who can reason with me? Go ahead.
To give an overall message to those who are listening. Like, what do you want to portray to them through your story?
Good, to give a message. Why else would I tell a story? To entertain people. So some stories give messages, some stories entertain. Let's take one more. Why would I tell the story?
What do you do in your stories when you write them?
I think I draw a lot, so I just draw. I draw a lot, so
I got a secret for you. Words can paint pictures. Did you know that? They really do. And later on, we can go through a story that's on the table here, and I can show you how stories paint pictures. We call it imagery. All right. So real quick, we got 5 elements of storytelling. All right, 5 elements of storytelling. Every story has this. There are very few, if any, stories that are missing any of these elements of storytelling. And when we say elements, we mean parts. So when you're thinking about your life, when you're thinking about a situation that you've gone through, you're thinking about a journey that you had, you can always think about it in terms of these 5 things. Are you guys ready? Characters. Say characters.
Characters.
Setting.
Setting.
Problem.
Say it again.
Problem.
Let's give him a hand.
Solution.
Let's give him a hand. My man. Conflict or problem. All right. Conflict or problem. Okay. What's our next element? We have the plot. And then last but not least, the theme.
What's the theme?
Good job. What is the theme? The theme is like the lesson. It's the lesson. The lesson of the story, the main takeaway. Or it can be like the topic that the story touches on. But for the purpose of this exercise, the theme is our lesson. All right. So I wrote the elements of storytelling. In the order in which they appear in the story. Okay? So, what's a movie that everybody here has seen recently? Is it Toy Story? The first one? What are you talking about? Okay.
And then the second one?
I don't remember the first one. That's like back in the 90s. Man,
What was the second one?
see, the second one, I don't remember too much. All right, here's a question for you.
I don't remember
No problem. We'll work on that. All right. So, in the beginning of Toy Story, we're introduced to who and what. What are the first 2 things that pop up in Toy Story? Think about this. Think about the order that I wrote this in. What are the first 2 things that we see in Toy Story? Which one of these do we see first in Toy Story? Good. We see the characters first, and then we see what? Exactly, the setting. So every story has to open up with the characters and the setting. All right, what does setting mean?
When and where it takes place.
Exactly, when and where it takes place. Good job. Then after you see the characters and the setting, what do you see next?
The problem.
Exactly, the problem. Who's going through the problem? The characters, right? How are the characters and the problem related? Okay, character development. Let's say character development.
The character has to solve it.
Good job. The character has to solve the problem. All right, so let's go back. First, we're introduced to the characters in the setting, right? And then the character finds a problem. And then the character has to solve that problem. Where does the character start solving that problem? Which part? Point to it. Who can point to it? Point. The plot. What does plot mean? Who thinks they can define plot?
How they fix the problem.
It is how they fix the problem, but they got to fix the problem through what? What does plot mean?
The solution.
Not yet. It's part. The plot are the events, the play-by-play. Okay? Exactly. Rise in action, the climax, fall in action, resolution. But that's a bit deeper than where we're going to go today. Just know that when you're writing your story, first you got to introduce the characters in the setting, you got to introduce that problem, and then you go through a whole situation where they're solving the problem, and then when you get to the resolution, you learn your lesson. That part is called the theme, okay? So this is the order in which we tell our stories, all right? I want you guys to brainstorm real quick, because with the time we have today, we're gonna read through this, but first we're gonna brainstorm our own stories. I want you guys to take a minute or two to think about a story, a short story that you want to tell. What's the story that you can tell?
Okay. So who was it? You and who else?
It can be a real story or an imaginary story.
Fiction. You and the robot?
What? I remember the dinosaur.
With you? Okay.
Any volunteers?
Well, you have to have the character.
All right, go ahead.
That's not. Greg was okay. Let's try this. Okay, Greg was sitting on his porch when a police cruiser pulled up.
Okay.
Let's see. The police stepped out of the car and waltzed over to Greg. He asked him a few questions on if he had seen a missing person, but Greg responded he didn't know and he never seen him before. So the police went back into his car and drove off, and Greg just stood there sitting on his porch. Let's see. So he waltzed back into his place and went to his basement. There was many objects, but just as when he was preparing to hide them, the police busted through it.
Oh, you got a CSI episode.
Greg decided to take his escape route via back door. He ran through several houses, jumped many fences, but in the end was caught by the police. Greg was sentenced with many charges and was sentenced to life in prison.
Okay, so here's my hand. That was real good. Yeah. All right, before we get into that, because we're going to analyze that, what's the most important element of storytelling here? What's the part that drives the story? Who thinks they can guess? Can you guess? What's the most important ingredient here?
The conflict.
The character.
No.
Yes.
What do you think? Let's let my man Shoes here. What do you think?
The setting.
All right, the setting is important. The setting is sort of like
The plot.
the arena where it all happens. But what's more important than that? What's that engine for the story?
The plot.
No. Yeah.
The problem.
Conflict.
Say it again.
The problem.
The conflict, exactly.
You won't have a theme if you don't have conflict. You won't have a plot if you don't have conflict. Your characters won't even be, they won't have the depth if you don't have a conflict to develop them.
You can have other things
Well,
like conflict.
This is always a question that incites
There's
debate.
internal conflict and external. One
Yeah.
via self, one via something out of their control.
I mean, yeah, but what if your character is just having a chill day?
And
That's always a good question.
What if you make a really interesting story, right? Everybody loves it, but there's no conflict.
And that would just be, I think that'd still be like internal conflict or something.
Would it?
Oh yeah. Conflict doesn't always have to be battle between something.
Yes, but what if the person doesn't have any problem?
Then how could it be an interesting story? There's no tension.
There is.
Of
I think the conflict would be the adventure itself, whatever they're going through.
Exactly. But they're having an adventure. They're going.
So then where's the story?
To that point,
They're explaining.
this example speaks to that. I think that the answer is in this story. Would you guys want to read a portion real quick? So, please give me your name again.
Hannah.
Hannah. Okay, so Hannah asked a very interesting question, right? If conflict is indeed the most important element of storytelling, what if a story has no problem, right? So how do we keep a story going? All right, so we're gonna have to read all of this. Let's read, I say, the first 4 paragraphs. Alright. Let's read the first 4 paragraphs. I'll start. Okay.
Okay, you gonna follow? You gonna follow along?
The times I visited my grandmother. So, by the way, a young person who I work with wrote this story not too long ago. So, as a matter of fact, yeah, I'll read the first 4 paragraphs. Matter of fact, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's say 5. Yeah, the first 5. All right. When my family and I lived in Florida during my early childhood, we used to visit my grandmother in Glen Arden, Maryland. I used to enjoy the drive up, and I liked the excitement of traveling. It was usually a 16-hour drive from Florida to Maryland. So most of the time, we would go at night when my older sister and I would be sleeping so that we wouldn't get bored and rowdy in the car. We went to my grandmother's house and stayed there for more than a week. Her front yard had bushes with a blatant scent that reminds me of that time in my life when we used to come up from Florida. During that time, we drove into D.C. and visited the National Mall, the Veterans Memorial, and the White House. Sometime it may have snowed. My sister and I loved to play in the snow and throw snowballs at each other and random objects. I also liked to watch my step-grandfather design computer chips in the basement. He would show me what he was working on and the computer chips he designed. In her backyard, I loved to go play on a blue rubber asphalt pad that had a lot of slugs on it after it rained. A lot of them were under plants and rocks. Most times when we came up from Florida, we brought our bikes with us, and my sister and I would race down the hill. However, the best part of going to my grandmother's house was getting the toys from her and playing with the ones I brought up from Florida. One time I remember I got a remote control car and I was playing with it, and eventually I took the tires off and somehow broke not long after that. Another time I got a Lego car. I built it and I may have crashed it on purpose to see how it breaks and probably lost some pieces to it, and now all that is left is the bumper, which I still have now. All right, let's stop there. Okay, which part of the story did this hit? Which part did you guys see? Go ahead, give me one. Setting. What was the setting?
Florida and Maryland.
All right, what was the main setting? Say it a bit louder for us. Good, the grandma's house. What time of the year? Say it again. Good, wintertime at grandma's house, right? So describe that setting for me. What kind of setting is that? What happens there?
It snowed.
It snowed. Okay, what else? What are some activities? What's the feel of it?
It's the holidays.
Say it again.
It's the holidays.
It's the holidays. Okay, what else?
And the boy and his sister doing snowballs at each other.
Good. So a lot of playing, right? A lot of playing at grandma's house, right? So think about grandma's house during the holiday season. It's warm. You know, there's a lot of funness. You know, a lot of fun things going on. All right. What else do we see at the beginning of the story? What else do we see?
You still see a bit of conflict in the story.
All right. What bit of conflict do you see?
That she would get gifts, but she likes playing with them, so she kind of messes with them, but then they break. Conflict. It wouldn't be an external conflict, but it would be an internal thing.
Okay.
And if she should like mess around with the toys, then she ends up breaking.
Okay.
Be like, this internal.
Michael, you're just trying to find things to prove you wrong.
I'm not. You're just wrong.
Y'all said
Yes.
gotcha. Okay. Respect.
Everything.
Do we see characters? What characters do we see?
My grandmother and my sister and
And the granddad, stepdad, grandfather.
Okay, good. Now I'm gonna let y'all know there's not necessarily any conflict. It's just pretty much the guy talking about his holiday season. That's why I thought this was appropriate for the conversation I had earlier. So we went back. I'm going back to my original point earlier about this particular word right here.
Cool, cool.
All right. My man still talking about hot cocoa. I respect it. All right. Here's our word that we need for storytelling. Say it again. Imagery.
Oh.
Say it again. Go ahead and say it.
Imagery.
Imagery. Okay. What word do you see in imagery? What word do you see? Do you see a particular word in there? Okay, no problem. Image.
Image.
An image means picture. So we use imagery, like I said, to paint pictures with words. Right? How do we paint pictures with words?
By being descriptive.
Say it again.
By being descriptive.
All right, what do you mean by being descriptive, Hannah?
I mean, like, you give small little extra details that help create like pictures that people can imagine.
Kind of use descriptive words.
All right, so you paint pictures with words.
I forgot that.
Like,
You use.
imagine you're in a room, right? I used this one in the book I'm reading. So this girl was coming into her dormitory, right? And it was really bright with sunlight, and there was dust. And so I said, "Your sun reflected on the dust, and it looked like glitter falling down."
Okay. Say it again.
The sun reflected on the dust, and it looked like glitter falling down.
I feel like that's going.
Oh yeah. So, bear with me for a long time. The sun reflected. Say it again. Off the dust.
Yeah, making it look like glitter. You know when you walk into a room and the sun coming through the window kind of looks like glitter, but it's actually dust. It's kind of out for
It's love said in my room.
So the sun reflected off the dust, making it reflect glitter. So this right here. Now we're going to go into a bit of grammar. When we're using imagery, right? We're going to underline sun. We're going to underline reflected.
And you can really just redone that last bit of that sentence out.
What about
I mean, that's not exactly what it says.
Well, I'm just saying, you could say that the sun reflected off the dust, like
So you have sun, you have reflected, and you have glitter. All right. Now we have sun as a part of speech, it being a noun. All right. A noun is a thing, right? Person, place, thing, or idea. And then you have reflected, which is what part of speech? All right. Showing an image, we call this a verb, which is an action, oftentimes. So for imagery, right, you want to describe people and things doing actions. All right. You also want to describe what these things and people look like. All right. Those are called adjectives. Let's look back at the paper. Can we find sentences that are examples of imagery? Can we find sentences that are examples that paint pictures? Let's all find one sentence that paints a picture. Okay, hold on, go ahead. Find a sentence for me. Find a sentence for me. Oh, man, got it.
And then him and his sister don't trouble at each
Good job. Read the sentence for us. All right, so we're going to paragraph 2.
other. Sometimes it may snow. My sister and I love to play in the snow and do a snowball after
Good job. Let's give him a hand. see any action words in there? You see any action words?
Yeah.
There's some action words in there. Give me one action word. Go ahead.
Sit up, sit up.
Throw, right? Throw's an action word, right? All right. What are our nouns? What people or things do you see in that sentence?
My sister.
Sister.
Good, sister. What else?
Boy.
All right, I, right? As in the narrator, he's talking about himself. What else?
No.
Snowball.
No.
Snowball.
All right, so you got to paint pictures. You paint pictures. You want to use people and things, which are nouns, and then you use your verbs. You also have adjectives. What are adjectives? What do adjectives do? Who wants to help us out? Go ahead.
Don't quote me if I'm wrong, but are they like descriptive words?
Exactly. They describe. Yep. They describe nouns. All right. So we're gonna stop here for now. We're gonna get into our writing session because I think it's time for us to write. I definitely think it's time for us to write. Who wants to write? Yeah, I do. Who wants to write? Y'all sound too excited about writing.
I just got that.
I like
Okay.
We're right.
All right. So here's a writing prompt right here. All right. I got a writing prompt for y'all. I got a writing. Yeah, I like writing prompts. Writing prompts.
Start.
You want to do a sentence starter? Prompt. Okay.
You have to wait and see what he wants you to write about. Take that off your head.
How many minutes are you left?
Very good question.
The delivery person bought a box of my
What y'all gonna do?
So, can you come up with a story?
All right. Here's the deal. You can draw a picture,
Me and
but you gotta give me at least 4 sentences with that picture. Can you do that? You sure? I know you can do it. Yeah. Yeah. You got it. So give me a picture in 4 sentences.
So it's the delivery person viewing the box. Okay, write about it. Let's see what's happening. Go ahead. What about you? There's your secret song right there. The delivery person. Go ahead, start with that. Start with that. That delivery person or a box with no name on it, and then you can give details. Go ahead, just like you write every day.
Steady hand and steady eye and concentration.
To your house, to your room, to your school. Consider.
to be as descriptive as possible. Paint the picture, of course, with your words. Remember those 5 W's and that H: who, what, when, where, why, and how.
Period.
Spelling test. Spelling test.
What else? What else about it? What are you thinking?
I like I was thinking a bird, a bird, a bird.
give it about 5 more minutes, and then the floor is open for y'all. One more time. Oh, good. Okay. We're going to give it about 5 more minutes, and then you guys are free to share. Who wants to share? Karen? And if you guys, there's no pressure at all, but do your best to include those 5 elements in your story. There's no pressure at all. The story can go any way you want. It is your story. You have those 5 elements.
How do you get into it? What do you do now? What's in your box?
All right, 2-minute warning. 2-minute warning. Any volunteers?
Then what happens to that? Cause you gotta get to the end of the story. What do you do about that? That's the problem, isn't it?
All right. 20 seconds. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and stop. Okay, any volunteers? All right.
There's no title for this because we're out of time. But
Read it as loud as you can. Let's give our undivided attention, family.
I sat in the living room looking out at the snow when I saw an ad about Legos. I groveled to my parents, begging them to get it for me. And they did. I was overjoyed as the young boy that I was. I couldn't wait for the box to come. Each morning I looked out of my window waiting.
but it never showed up. Days turned to weeks I waited. I started to believe that it would never show up. Soon I lost all hope and I no longer cared. I went to my bed defeated with a bad taste in my mouth. However, that next morning I had heard a ring. I rushed down the stairs. I rushed down the stairs. Could it be? My mind raced with each step. I made it to the door, and there it was. The man wore red and brown. Really, his outfit could have used some work, but that didn't matter. I grabbed my box. The excitement was bursting. I didn't even wait for my dad to sign. I pried open the box, and there was...
Cliffhanger.
Solid. Okay. Any other volunteers? Nobody?
Oh, you have something.
Hold on. My man is back.
Okay. So it says the delivery person brought a box with my name on it. Pleasant surprise was that mid-sized cubic object sitting on the front of our apartment door, wrapped in brown paper with specks of autumn rain from when it made its way from the truck to the inside of our building. I stood a whole half a minute admiring this seemingly dull object, savoring the anticipation of uncovering what it held inside. "Oh, it's here," said Kayla. I snapped out of it in that same instance. I was like, it's got my name on it. It's got my name on it. I said, yeah, no, it's a dress. It's a dress I ordered. I had it sent to your name because for some reason they don't always get here when it's addressed to me. That's a real story. It's a real story. Based on a real story. Where I'm excited about packages because they're addressed to me. They're just stuff.
Respect. Any other volunteers? No volunteers?
You would like to read, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Because it's a writing session. Share what you know.
One day, I was sitting on the couch reading a book when I heard the patio door shut. I ran to see what it was. When I opened the door, I saw a large brown box. When I went to read the name, I was shocked to see mine. I stopped for a moment. I realized the box had holes in it. It confused me. I opened the box to see a beautiful black cat with emerald green eyes. Its fur was soft and fluffy. I looked next to the cat and saw a note. Dear Hannah, I hope you like the cat. I know you'd like her more. Her name is Kyra. I left some food and all the things you need. Love, Sophie. I was so happy I vowed to take care of her with my life.
Oh, what you guys said. That was nice. That was nice.
That never happened.
You want to volunteer your story?
I'm going to give them your first grade story.
The delivery person brought a box with my name on it to my school. The box was red and blue with a Samsung image on it. And it was heavy and a bird flew out of the cafeteria and pooped on the box. I said sushi. The bird was a blue robin. And the bird was a blue robin.
I think he's mastering imagery. Master. So, all right, a couple of things here. Any thoughts about what you guys heard in these stories? I got one word for y'all. So, the reason why I liked this is because it really brings out suspense, right? So suspense meaning, well, first of all, who can define suspense? Who's ever heard the word? I'm pretty sure we've heard the word suspense, but who can define it?
Anticipation that builds tension.
Yeah, anticipation, it's building tension. So it's around mystery, right? You know, there's something happening in the story, you're not entirely sure about what's going on. How does suspense make the story more interesting? What do you think?
So I was thinking about the word itself, suspense,
Yeah.
and how I think it comes from like being suspended or off the ground.
Yeah.
And so I feel like when you're on the ground, like stepping on something, you're pretty comfortable, you're pretty solid. But when you're off of it,
Exactly.
you're waiting because of gravity to drop. And at any point in time, something is going to change and stabilize, I guess.
Exactly.
So it keeps you wondering, thinking, etc. of that what follows.
How is that related to tension? Because I heard tension here before. So suspense and tension actually work hand in hand, right? So when you're up in the air, so to speak, and you're wondering about what's going to happen next, how does that build tension within your mind? As a reader, how does that build tension? Well, what is tension?
Because when you as a reader don't know what's going to come next, and you're trying, and your mind is kind of thinking of all the different things that could happen at the end of the story.
So, like, how did y'all build that in your stories? How did y'all build that in your stories? Because this was a perfect way. This was an end for y'all. Y'all really knocked out the ballpark, each and every one of y'all. But how did y'all know to build suspense and tension in your stories?
I did. I just kind of started writing.
Prolonging the.
But you did it well, though.
I went and I kind of prolonged when the box got there to like put the character through whether the box would come, when it will come, and then when he's finally opening up the box, I used some more descriptive words. Like at first I was going to do rip open the box, and I was like, no, that seems like so I used pride instead because pride feel like using like those fruit drink. So and then when we finally got to the box, and then I ran out of time. So I just put it dot dot dot. So it's like
Yeah, I just put that last part because I ran out of time.
I understand.
Did you purposely leave the cliffhanger? Did you do that on purpose? Because that was pretty
I was thinking of kind of just ending it, and I was like, I'm running out of time, and I don't want to have it. So I just decided to just build suspense.
That's suspense to me.
Yeah, I really liked it. I like the way that this activity turned out. I got one more for y'all if y'all up for it.
Sure.
Okay, perfect. So this one is around character development. All right. This one's around character development, and this happens very often in our workshop. Thought I had tissue somewhere.
Get you.
Yeah. Hope I don't lose this one. All right. Let's see. All right. For this activity, I want you guys to, once again, you're free to write however you want, but this particular writing prompt, it highlights a conflict that the character is feeling, the character being you or whoever you want it to be. All right, so let's see. We want to make this
So yeah, just make sure that you do make it an internal conflict.
All right, here's the writing prompt. This is a conflict right here. All right, so you have $5 left in your pocket to take the bus home, and mind you, you live far away. We're talking like 3 buses. This bus pass that you got that you would get for $5 is only good for like the ride home. So you only have $5 left in your pocket, but you just saw a once in a lifetime deal at your favorite restaurant. He's like,
Huh?
Okay. Fine. 100% fine.
so you got $5, but you got 2 choices. You got 2 choices. Do you go home? Do you use it for the bus? Or do you use it to eat some really good food?
Exactly, because I'm hungry.
Pizza the flight away regardless.
I got this.
Got it?
Pretend that you're outside.
Let me jump in this. I'm gonna jump in this.
Then you're about, and you have $5 that I gave to the public restaurant. That's good. But you walk about 7-Eleven, and they have a deal on. So you have to decide what you're gonna do.
Give me a name, you know?
Spend it on this. So
Jason.
think about it. Make it about you. You need to try to take you. You're in good school. it on and store it. You
Yes,
don't need
I put already put.
Let's check
orange
now.
juice and then put orange juice in there. Then what happened next?
With the bus.
So he decided.
I see.
That's all he got, so he goes and now it's working.
Oh, it doesn't matter. It's just a story. It's like
Membership.
He called it Uber.
You still
He
have
doesn't
to
have any
pay
money.
for Uber.
He doesn't have any money. He spent this money.
It's for free.
No,
Yeah.
you already said it. So what does he do?
It's 1984.
Think of the problem. What does he do? He, since he didn't have money for the bus, what is he gonna have to do?
Ride the bike.
He didn't have a bus, he just came to the phone and come on, your story says this. Junior was off and swimming practice. Well, listen to your story. No, he was coming from swimming.
Get a car. Get a car. Get a car.
Listen, Junior was off and swimming practice. It was a hot day and he had $5 left in his pocket. And he saw the bus and they said 11. So he decided to drive for a weekend. You don't have to say 7-Eleven, we went there. And then you can end the story by. No picture. That's it. Georgie. With his purpose.
All right, 3 more minutes. volunteers? I jumped in this too. You wanna go? You wanna go? Okay. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So I got out of the lab and I waited at the bus stop. I couldn't afford to miss this bus. I forgot my wallet at home, so I didn't get to eat breakfast. I was starving. I hadn't had left the lab in 2 days. It would be fine once I reached the house. Then I turned to see a Chick-fil-B and it had a deal for $5. It gave a sandwich, drink, fries, and a cookie. They must be going out of business. Hey, go get the deal. You're hungry. And it's right there. Just go for it, a mysterious voice called. Don't do it. You need to get home, shouted from the depths of my mind. Quit talking. He's hungry, so let him eat. No, he needs to get home. The argument took place. I couldn't take it anymore. I was so hungry I started to hallucinate. I was going to get that deal. Just then, the bus had arrived and I decided to go home instead. When I got home, I ran to my fridge and swung it open. I didn't care what was in it, but I was just so hungry I wanted to eat something. But my fridge was empty. Oh, I remember now. I was in the lab because I was moving on site. I should have got that deal.
Thank you.
You said you were in the lab because what?
Okay, so my character was moving on site. He was going to be living at the lab. He was just so tired he forgot.
Who wants to go next? Raise your hand. Go ahead.
When they were walking from touring package, it when they and he had $5 left in his pocket, and he saw the bus, and they 7-Elevens, so he decided to buy Doritos and his lesson, and he walked home.
Show me a picture.
Nice picture. Give him my hand.
So, what story you got?
I have a title for my story. Would
Spit
you
it
like
out.
to hear what it is?
Kind of just spit it out.
Go ahead.
The title is Why. Okay. Jason had just gotten off work and was really hungry. He had just gotten paid his usual $5.
That's sad.
Shush, okay. He was just about to get on the bus when he noticed a sale at his favorite restaurant. It was called Mediterranean Home. He stood in disbelief. He really wanted that food. He was quite hungry, but his bus was about to leave. He was really upset. He slowly walked, dragging his feet every step, when suddenly somebody came out of the restaurant and ran up to him. He had just paid for the bus ride when they gave him a free meal from the restaurant. Jason went home happy with his salmon and rice that day.
Wow.
I got solutions.
Okay. All right, I got it. All right. No title. By nightfall, the stomach pains became too much to bear. Not even water could stop my head from throbbing. I needed food, and I needed food now. I had a big bowl of rice waiting for me at home all the way across town. If I could survive the hour-long ride, that bowl of rice would become a game changer. As I walked to the bus stop, the thought of digging into that rice with a big spoon made me drool and further encouraged me to get to that bus stop before the last bus of the night came. For whatever reason, my head turned toward the other side of the street where I saw the plant burger my family always ate at when my father got paid and could afford to splurge quite a bit. Those burgers were good. They were expensive. Not tonight. There it was on the window. 5 burgers for $5. Very enticing. I had to have it. But all I had was $5. The very same $5 that would get me to the warmth of my home. But these were plant burgers. We're talking about Beyond Meat with major toppings like vegan cheese, mushrooms, and baked bacon. All plant-based, of course. I needed it, and I needed it now. 10 minutes later, I sat at the bus stop. My bus passed me by, but I did not care. Not with 2 plant burgers in my hand. I took one bite out of one burger and set my sights on the other one, alternating between the both of them until I crushed the first one, whichever one that was. Oh God, it didn't cross my mind that I probably wouldn't make it home tonight. In that moment, it was me and these burgers and the will of the universe. The hunger really took me there. It wasn't until I saw my auntie pulling up to the bus stop that I remembered I was far away from my house. She beeped her horn and said, "Boy, what are you doing out this late? Get in the car and let me take you home." The entire ride home, my auntie yelled at me for being out so late and spending the last of my money on some fast food, even if it was plant-based. I smiled and I nodded. No headache, no stomach pains, just pure bliss. That night, I learned that without risk, there is no reward. I was hungry, so I did what I had to do, and I still made it home. So stories can be funny, tell lessons, all of that. Before we wrap up, what did you guys learn today? If anything. Oh, go ahead. All right, paragraphs. Okay, how many sentences on a paragraph? Good, 5 sentences. How many topics? 1. Good, let's give them a hand. Yes. Yes. All right, anybody else? What did we learn today? Elements of a story. Yes, 5 elements of a story. All stories must have this. I'll take one more lesson if you guys have it. Who has one more thing they learned?
I learned that people would take food over
Give yourselves a hand, y'all.
Give Baba Sam a round of applause too. What programs do you offer, Baba Sam, and where can we find you?
Yes, you can find me aleyesondc.com. I offer writing workshops and one-on-one tutoring for those who need it.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all.
That was great.
Thank you.
That really was.